welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you're back here for a new video. I'm Taya, and today I want to talk about my summer reading list. So I love to read, and I just started reading again. Like, I used to read a lot as a kid, and then like high school came around and I just kind of lost touch with reading until recently, like about a year ago I would say. I picked it back up again, and I just love it now. Like, I just love reading. It's just more stimulating than just watching TV, you know? I wanted to make a video about a few books that I've written down that I want to read this summer, and I wanted to share that with you. So grab a hot beverage and let's get into the books. And let me know in the comments what you're gonna read this summer or what you've been reading this year. I'd love to have a few recommendations if you want to share those with me. So I have 4 fiction books that I want to read and 4 non-fiction books. And like, if I read 6 books this summer, I'm happy, but if I get to read all 8 of them, like, I'm even happier. The first book I want to talk about, I actually already started reading, and it's called Only Time Will Tell by Jeffrey Archer. I'm just going to read you the description so you know what I'm talking about. So, the epic tale of Harry Clifton's life begins in 1919 in the back streets of Bristol. His father was a war hero, but it will be 21 tumultuous years. How do you say that word? Tumultuous, whatever. Years before Harry discovers the truth about how his father really died, and if in fact he even was his father. Only Time Will Tell takes a cast of memorable characters from the ravages of the Great War to the outbreak of the Second World War, when Harry must decide whether to take his place at Oxford or join to fight against Hitler's Germany. So I think this is really interesting, and so I've read like about 100 pages of this book, and I think it's the kind of book where you hear multiple sides of the same story, and I really like those kind of books just to see the perspective of different characters. And so far I've read like one side of the story, like Harry's side. I'm pretty sure there's like a bunch of sides from what I can tell. But yeah, this is the first book I want to read this summer. So the second book I want to read this summer is the second book of the series, and it's called The Sins of the Father by Jeffrey Archer. And let me read you the description. New York, 1939. Tom Bradshaw is arrested for first-degree murder. He stands accused of killing his brother. When Sefton Jelks, a top Manhattan lawyer, offers his services for nothing, penniless Tom has little choice but to accept his assurance of a lighter sentence. After Tom is tried, found guilty, and sentenced, Jelks disappears, and the only way for him to prove his innocence would be to reveal his true identity, something he has sworn never to do in order to protect the woman he loves. Meanwhile, the young woman in question travels to New York, leaving their son behind in England, having decided she'll do whatever it takes to find the man she was to marry, unwilling to believe that he died at sea. The only proof she has is a letter that has remained unopened on a mantelpiece in Bristol for over a year. So yeah, this is the second book of the series, and I can't wait to read it. I like how this author writes. It's really easy to read, and it's like a nice story. So yeah, I can't wait to read this one. So the third book I want to read this summer, or that's on my summer reading list, is The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling. I just love how she writes. Let me read you the description before I talk. So, in the idyllic small town of Pagford, a councillor dies and leaves a casual vacancy, an empty seat on the parish council. In the election for his successor that follows, it is clear that behind the pretty surface, this is a town at war. Rich at war with poor, wives at war with husbands, teachers at war with pupils. Pagford is not what it first seems. From the smallest of elections in a sleepy British town, J.K. Rowling conjures an epic, emotional, and compulsively readable tale that has had millions of readers hooked. So I really love this author. Like, obviously she wrote Harry Potter, and I loved those books. Like, I love the movies, but I like I like the books even more. I'm really excited to see if it's any different than how she wrote Harry Potter, and just see how I like it. So the next few books I'm going to talk about, I haven't actually purchased yet because I haven't had the time and the money to purchase them yet. So the last fiction book on my list is by a YouTuber, and I'm sure you know her because she's awesome. She's called Kaylin Nicholson, and she wrote a book called Catcher. It's like a series too. For now there's like only one book. I'm pretty sure she's working on the next one. And I'm gonna read you I'm gonna blend you the picture up here and read the description to you. Ever since the day her baby brother Axel died, Carson has been dreaming of the same boy. The one who told her it wasn't her time to go when her family's lift crashed through a bridge railing and sank to the bottom of a river, shattering her life forever. Trapped by the new divide between her and her parents, and by their drastic measures to shelter their only child, Carson escapes into her dreams every night, floating among the clouds with the gray-eyed boy who saved her. Until her 18th birthday, when fate sends her family home up in flames, leaving her waking world flipped upside down. Suddenly, Carson finds herself on the other side of the country, in the big city of Tarragon, alone for the first time in her life, and dropped into the only waking dream she's ever had, to attend Yorker's specialty school. But sinister forces are at work beneath the surface of her world, and as the gray-eyed boy slips away from her dreams, only to be replaced by nightmares of flame, Carson finds herself engulfed by a world of deathly secrets and haunting shadows, one that makes her the key player in the ultimate game of fates. So yeah, this seems like a really interesting book, and I really like that YouTuber, so I cannot wait to read this one. Okay, so the next few books I am going to talk about are non-fiction books. And I always like to read non-fiction books because it makes you learn stuff and just makes you think, you know? Like, fiction books are great because they immerse you into a story and it's really, you know, a good escape. But non-fiction books I really like because you can actually learn something too. So the first non-fiction book on my list is called A Tribe Called Bliss by Lori Harder. And she has a podcast called Earn Your Happy. And I really like her podcast. I discovered it a year ago, I think. I really felt like reading her book because she's really inspiring. I'm gonna read the description to you so you can have an idea. We live in an uber-connected era in which everyone is able to make thousands of friends with the swipe of a finger. Yet the way we are connecting leaves us feeling mistrustful, jealous, disempowered, and defeated. We are left believing success is a solo endeavor, inspired by Lori's own journey through the loneliness and disconnection. A Tribe Called Bliss details how she discovered her untapped potential by shedding surface-level friendships. Step by step, she lights the way to show you how you can achieve relationships that accelerate and support your highest potential, while providing the tools to ensure unshakable faith in your journey and to develop the self-awareness and mindfulness that are the keys to a lifetime of blissful happiness. Come join Lori Harder and embrace a new way of being, belonging, and building community by forming your own tribe. A Tribe Called Bliss. So even that description gives me like goosebumps because it's so inspiring. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't know. It just seems really inspiring. So I can't wait to read this book. So the next non-fiction book I would like to read is Everything is F***ed by Mark Manson. So he wrote The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F***, which you've probably heard of because it's been like everywhere since it came out. So now he wrote a new book, and I really like the first one. Like, the guy just has a really blunt way of saying things, and it's just like so obvious when he says it. The description for this book is: we live in an interesting time. Materially, everything is the best it's ever been. We are freer, healthier, wealthier than any people in human history. Yet somehow, everything seems to be irreparably and horribly f***ed. The planet is warming, governments are failing, economies are collapsing, and everyone is perpetually offended on Twitter. At this moment in history, when we have access to technology, education, and communication our ancestors couldn't even dream of, So many of us come back to an overriding feeling of hopelessness. I think that's about it for the description. So yeah, basically this book, like the second title is a book about hope, like the subtitle is a book about hope. So I don't know, I'm just really excited to read this because everything is indeed fact. If you listen to any politician or if you look at anything, it really seems like it's the end of the world. So I don't really know what to think because you know how there's like conspiracies that everything you see on the media is actually just made up by the government. Like, I don't know if that's true or not. I have no idea, but it could be. Like the first man on the moon supposedly was a movie shot by like Spielberg or someone. No one actually, or not no one, but like that person never actually landed on the moon, just landed on a rock in a studio in Hollywood. So I don't know, it's just like, I'm getting off topic here, but it's just like it seems like an interesting book for today's events. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's why I really want to read this book. It's getting super dark in here. There. So the next book I want to read is like a classic. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have already read it, but I haven't. And it's called You Do You by Sarah Knight. I couldn't really find a really full description, but the one I found here seems pretty accurate. And it's being yourself should be easy, yet too many of us struggle to live on other people's terms instead of our own. Rather than feeling large and in charge, we feel little and belittled. Sound familiar? Best-selling anti-guru Sarah Knight has 3 simple words for you. You do you. That's a really interesting book to me personally because I've always struggled to be myself. I'm an only child and it's always been easy for me to be by my own. But I feel like that's also made me kind of self-aware when I'm around other people. Like it's so hard for me to be myself. And that sounds weird because like who else would you be? But I feel like that's not just me. Is that just me? I don't know. But I really want to read this book to see if that might help be more myself. And one more nonfiction book that's on my list is the only astrology book you will ever need. The author's called Joanna M. Woolfolk. I've really been into astrology lately. Like, I don't know what it is. It's the kind of thing where I'm always on the fence about. Like, either I'm really into it or I'm like, no, that's totally crap. But I've really been interested in it lately and I've been watching Kendall Rae's videos on YouTube and I love how much she knows about it and how, I don't know, it just seems really accurate sometimes. And she recommended this book, so I'm gonna read it so that I can have my own opinion on it. And yeah. Oh, and there was one more book I wanted to talk about. I've already started reading this, but it's not usually the kind of book I read. It's about money and like investing and stuff. And Devin gave this to me because it's important to talk about money as a couple and it's a hard topic to talk about. This book is called The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. And I started reading it and it's actually, I just lost my page. So the way he writes is actually pretty easy to read, but it's just not my favorite topic in the world. But it's an important topic. Like it's important to know how to manage your money and you need to budget it and you need to know about it so you can have more of it and not spend it on stupid crap that you shouldn't have spent it on. So yeah, that's why I'm reading this book and also to be on the same page about this with Devin because one of the biggest reasons there's arguments in relationships is money. So I feel like it's really important to be on the same page or at least know about the same things so that you're less likely to fight over this, which you might still, but at least there's a lesser chance, you know? I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what books you're gonna read and what books you like. And yeah, so we can talk about this and exchange recommendations and stuff. And subscribe to my channel to see more videos like this. And I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye!